Hello my crafty friends and creatives from around the globe. Welcome to Heather and Jan's studio, or welcome back if you've been here before. Today we're going to use up our scraps and make a bunch of scrappy clusters and a couple of journal cards or tags for your journals. And these go together really quick. I'm going to show you some different ways to make them. And like I said, you get to use up your scraps. So if that's something you're interested, come on along and craft with me. Okay, so to make our scrap clusters, I'm going to use some grocery bag that I cut up into 3-inch strips. And all I did was I left the whole paper bag folded and it actually fit in here. So this is the remnants of it. What I did, there's not a lot here to work with, but I basically put it in here and then I have a 3-inch mark. So I just lined it up. And not on the bottom part, but like the part that comes up this way because it's thinner. So I didn't cut it up first or anything. I just put it in here. And then after I took it out, I just cut, you know, there's always a seam somewhere where they glue the bag together. I just cut that off and I have these strips. And you can iron them if you want. I don't think it makes much of a difference, so I would save the time and not iron them and just work on the piece, because as you add the paper, these creases are just going to go away anyway. So what we're going to do is we're going to get out our scraps, and we all have scraps, so I have a bunch of miscellaneous scraps here, random ones that I pulled out of the scrap bin, and I have some bigger ones because I find that it just makes it easier. So I had some items that either I wasn't happy with the print, or in this case they're white and I needed them to be like a coffee dyed. So I just have these big pieces of scrap, and then I have a lot of little pieces of scrap. So what we're gonna do is, the first step is we're gonna find, it doesn't matter what side you work on honestly, but I like to work on the side where there's any writing, because if I do want to leave this side exposed for whatever reason, I don't have to worry about it. So I'm going to work on this side, and all we're going to do, and we'll put this one to the side for now, all we're going to do is start gluing down paper, and we're not going to think too much about it, because when you think too much about it, it just stalls the whole process, and then you're worrying about the end result when we're just in the beginning stages. So I'm going to use my art glitter glue. You can use a glue stick. I don't like glue sticks because they tend to not be reliable over time. And then the paper peels up and I'm very disappointed. So I'm going to use my art glitter glue. It's a little more, I don't know, sticky and annoying, but I don't care. I don't mind. I like crafting. I don't mind getting dirty. And I'm just going to start sticking papers down. This has that white piece, so let me just cut that off so I can put it up against the straight edge like so. The bottom I'm not worried about. So we're going to do that, and then we're just going to grab our glue and glue, or if you want, you could use like a collage medium or some Mod Podge if you have some Mod Podge. That is quicker for you, whatever works best for you. This is, you know, no slower or faster for me, and for this process it works fine. And then I'm just going to glue them down. It's okay if it goes over the edge a little, that's fine. We can cut that off later. And yeah, that's it. We're just gonna start building. Now I, in some cases, will go ahead and ink. Not a lot of this bottom layer gets seen, but some of it does. So if you don't like those white parts, or you just like inking in general, you can go ahead and ink or not. And I'm doing mine in all monotones, but because that's my jam, you know, neutrals and kind of grungy Tim Holtz styles, themes, aesthetic. But you do what, you know, what you like. You can do all bright colors. You could do wallpaper samples, whatever you have. Even just solid construction paper, or you know, any kind of solid paper that you have that has some color or some you know, something on it. What I'm trying to say. And then just start gluing down. Yeah, no rhyme or reason. I try to use bigger pieces because it does take up a lot more space quickly. So let's see what I got. I got this piece, which almost looks like our paper bag, but it's a little different. So we'll glue it down this way. Some grungy paper that I was using to either work on or doing some decollage. You know, kind of gluing it down and tearing it back up, kind of like what this looks like. And we'll just put that there. And so we just want to build out a good layer. We'll do a little more together. And then I have one that's completely done here. I don't think it'll take that long though, so. And then if I have pieces that are too square, I might, you know, rip them a bit so it gives it a little more interest. And then glue these down. And this goes really quick, but it doesn't have to. I can sit here and do these and watch videos of all my favorite YouTube personalities. And, or, I don't watch a lot of TV, but I watch like Prime and Hulu and that, so some of that you could watch. Whatever it is that you do. I listen to podcasts. Does anybody listen to anybody recommend a good podcast? I have my favorites, but, and there's just probably too many to mention, and a lot of them are business related, so I'm not sure if it would be something you guys would be interested. But anyway, if you have some crafty podcasts or some interesting fictional podcast type stuff, I don't have anything like that in my roundup. You know how there's these true crime stories and stuff? I like true crime. So if you have anything like that, yeah, share it with me. I'd love to know what you listen to, what you have found that's of interest. Yeah, so I just like to kind of go along, and maybe I'll ink some, maybe I won't, and build this out. And then this is our base layer, which we then, you can do a bunch of base layers and just have your base layers kind of sitting around. And when you are inspired, you can pick one up, or when you gather up enough scraps and stuff, you can kind of take one and build on it. And just start making little clusters out of those. So we're gonna build up our base layer, and then we'll make some clusters. I'll just show you some different ways to make some fun clusters. This is fun. It's got a little writing tablet that I coffee dyed to put in some of my mini junk journals or something else. I also make not pockets, like mini coin envelopes out of these. So that's fun. Move this down. I have one of these. I use it in a couple of my videos. This thing is awesome. It's like $1, so you can get it at Home Depot. They sell it where they sell the plaster and paint, and oh, it's perfect. It is so awesome. It is better than any other tool I have found to kind of mash stuff down, and it's plastic, so it's easy to clean. If it gets a little gunky, I just love it. And it's a perfect size. I think this one's like 2 inches. Yeah, it's like a 2-inch. Is there a name on it? I don't even know. Nah, it's a real cheapy one that you can probably buy them at the dollar store too. Just like a spackle knife. I think that's what they are. All right, so you get the idea, right? You just kind of build up and don't think too much about it. And little pieces, they're great too. You know, you can take these even tiny ones and just fill in spots like so. And then this other side is different, so I can kind of do this. And break that up. Let's see, let's go this way. And then if you don't like that straight edge, which I absolutely do not like that straight edge, you can come back over it and fill in. And I know we're going over, that's fine. It makes it a little more rugged, and we're just really trying to fill up the space on the strip. So that is the important part. So we can go this way. And now I don't have a straight edge, but I have a pop of color there, and that's nice. And I have one of these. This is cool. I think this is probably some alcohol ink. That's what it looks like anyway. That's too much white together. Let's do a piece of brown first. And let's do this way. So it's not so rigid and straight. This side I don't mind because I'm going to line it up. So we'll just put that there. And then we can come back with this one. And then I can, I can put some other pieces in there to break it up, but you kind of get the idea, right? We're just really trying to cover this up. We're not going to think too much about it. We're going to use big scraps and little scraps, and we're just going to cover the space. And then what you can do is when you get, now this is like the width around of the shopping bag, obviously, but when you get to the end, you can just take your next piece and glue it to here, and then continue on with the fun. And when you're done, you can just kind of roll them up like this and store them. Okay, so I have one that's done here. Ta-da! Reminds me of, like they do those cooking shows and they put one in and then there's one already done there. Very good. Anyway, that's my brain going off on a woo squirrel. But so here's the one that I did. As you can see, I just put a variety of papers, all little bits and pieces, and I just did the one strip so that we could work with this and kind of cut it up and make some clusters and stuff. We don't need the book anymore for now. And that's it. And so now what we want to do is, let's say you have this and you're sitting around and you get some inspiration and you're like, okay, now I want to, make something out of it. So there's a couple of different things we can do. We can work with it, and I have a piece here that's creeping up, so let me just put that down. Okay. Before I go cutting, let me give you some other ideas. All right, so your piece is done, and I'm using on neutrals. So what I want to do is kind of fill up some more of this, and now I am going to take the book back. Okay. I'm going to grab some stamps, and I'm just going to pick out a variety of stamps. Sorry, I don't want to blind you with the light, but let's see if I can do this without getting... I have like these little, it's hard to see, like this way. They're all different like little designs that almost kind of look like hand-drawn designs. So I have a bunch of those. And then I just grabbed some of my favorite little stamps. I have this one. I have this fork and knife, which is so cute. And so just grab an ink pad, whatever color you like. And we'll just do some random stamping throughout, just to add a little more interest and, add some more to the background. You don't have to do this, but I think it's kind of another way to add some additional interest here. And let's see. Let's take that fork here. We'll just kind of stick it in there. And this may or may not be seen, so it's not a big deal. We can, you know, cover it up. We're not going to be upset if we cover up some of what we did. It's fine. Some might show through, some might not. No stress. But, you know, if you're more of a perfectionist, I am definitely not. We know this. You can go ahead and lay this out as perfectly as you would like. And then, you know, be more thoughtful about where you stamp, perhaps. I kind of like the randomness of it all and where stuff appears when I'm done and start cutting things apart. So for me, that's the fun part. What else do I have? I have a little flower here. And then I'll go back and get some of those other ones. What else? Did I do the moth? I did the moth. I have this one. It's got like a flower and a postage. I think I got this one on AliExpress a while ago. Just gonna go over everything like that. And, all right, we'll do that. We'll put you back. And you can, you know, you can repeat the process if you'd like. I'm going to take some of these because I like that they are just kind of random shapes. And I can add a couple together. Yeah, so as I was saying before the phone rang, I can just grab some of these and randomly put them on this piece, this block, and then just, whoop, get away from me, and stamp. Now I'm using StazOn, so it is, we can work over top of it. I don't know what the word is I'm looking for at the moment, but you're not going to smudge it or smear it. It's a solvent ink. Let's see, is it going to tell me on here? Basically, I think it's sort of waterproof, if I'm correct. And you just, you know, I'm going to kind of randomly stamp here and there, and then I'm going to take these off. I'm going to grab some other ones. You can get a marker if you don't, you know, if you don't have some stamps that you like or want to use. You can grab a marker, a Sharpie, like a thin marker, or a colored marker if you are more interested in doing something like that, and just you do some mark making or some paint. You could grab some black paint or some colored paint in whatever matches what you're doing, and do that. Oop, dropped it, but it's okay because we can cover that up. Like so. And we'll do a little down here. Like that. And then maybe, there we go. All right, so just some ideas of some other things that you can do to prep it and get it ready before you start cutting it up, because that is the next step. We're going to cut these up and then turn them into clusters with the rest of our scrap papers and other items, other ephemera that we have. Okay, so now what we want to do is decide what size we're going to make, and there's no rule here whatsoever, absolutely zero. If you have a project you're working on, you can go ahead and make them to fit that project. I'm just going to randomly slice these. Okay, we're going to try this again. It's a very interrupty day here. So what you want to do is just cut them to a size that fits your project, or not. You can just make a bunch ahead and then make them work within your project. So I'm just going to do some random ones. We're going to do some longer ones. So I'm cutting these to be like this size, and then we can do some smaller ones, And you know, you can get more intentional about where you're cutting them, but most of the time we're going to be covering up a good portion of this. I'll try not to cover it all up, but you will cover up a good piece of it. So let's cut this one like this, and then maybe we can get some of that fork to hang out. And that's it. So we'll just do a few more here. Maybe we'll do a bigger one. I'll get this one like that. And this little birdie. All right, that's enough. You get the idea. So now we have our little strips here. And let's look at some ways that we can decorate them. I'll use this piece. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to ink them, which you don't have to, but I'm going to. And if you want, you can kind of round the corners or do whatever you want. It's up to you. It's your cluster. Yeah, I like how when you cut them and just random pieces show. I don't know. It's me. I like that. Do that, and I'm going to get some, I have some die cuts. I found them. So we can do a couple of things. I have this box of scraps, of ribbon and lace scraps. So just little cut-offs. You don't have to do lace. But if it's something that you like, this is good. Like that. Maybe we'll flip it around. And grab my Fabri-Tac. And we'll just put, actually let me put it on here. So at this point, you just kind of want to build up some layers and make it your own. And if you've seen scrap cluster videos, then the only thing I'm showing you is my take on it, because they're pretty much the same. Everybody has their own way, but yeah, they're scrap clusters. So you cluster your scraps. So we're gonna do that, and then I'm just gonna put this little guy here, like so. It's a little sticky there. So I'll just use this because I have it. We'll do that. Now you can continue to add bits. I'm just gonna leave this one like this. And maybe I'll get, let me just include this. I'll get a little word. Or this is kind of cool. This has some words on it. Well, technically letters. So I'm gonna take some of these and let's see, like that. Scale it down a little. A little more. And let's ink it because it's very white. And that can go like that, or you can put a word, you know, that has a little more meaning to whatever it is that you're doing. But I can always go over this And you can keep building on it. You can add additional items. I'm just going to leave that one to the side for now. I have some other ones. We can go with something like this, and then we're adding some color. Let's see, what else do I have in here? I have a couple of these. So I think I just like the one. I'm not going to do anything to this except maybe snip off this white part and glue it down. And before I do that, hold on, I think I want to put something behind it here. Maybe some washi. Let's see how this does. Now, I might glue this down also. So I can just kind of, I think it's very interesting to have a very clean line against all this chaos. That's staying pretty well. I'm gonna go for it. And we can add this in. Let's see, do I want to add anything else? I'm just thinking that I have some of this card. All right, I'm being taken over by washi tape. I don't necessarily have to show the letters. By the way, this is out of a digital kit by My Porch Prints. I don't know the name of it. It's like some kind of grungy something or other, but it's a really cool, if you like that aesthetic, if you like that look, then I would check it out because it's a really cool kit. It's got some cool pieces in it and you can use it a lot of different ways. So I'm just thinking I might want to continue to build on this. Just kind of give it some, bring some dimension over now to the side. We can kind of go off. I'm kind of keeping this one pretty, you know, squared off, I guess. Not raggedy and like so. And we could also add some fabric on the back side. I have some of this, or we could go, I don't like that with the blue. I do have some of this, maybe like this. And then it'll hang off the edge. Yeah, let's do that. Let me cut this about. This is just some recycled sari silk. And then we can have a little interest there off the edge as well. There are so many ways to do these, obviously. And you pick what kind of interests you and works with what you have in your stash. So for me, the whole thing here is busting a lot of the stash that I have because there is always just so much, while also making something interesting for a journal or to add to a tag. Yeah. That's the end of that thought. Okay, so like that, and then, so we have some fringe. You could do some lace. And then we're just gonna add, you know, that blue is bothering me. I think that's the problem. Hold on. All right, we're gonna just go with it. I know what I can do. I can add a little stamp or something, and then maybe pull some more of this blue somewhere in here. So you can get elaborate with these. You can do them pretty simply, depending on your imagination and whatever you got, whatever you have around. So I see little bits of everything that I kind of did there. So I can see part of the stamping and the collaged paper. We added some fabric here. I would probably stitch this. I'm not going to do that in this video, but maybe I'll do that and just present it at the end or the beginning. All right, so that's that. We'll put that one to the side. Now we have some of these smaller ones. So let's not do that one. Let's do this one. All right, so I'm going to get a piece of fabric, definitely. I want some lace on this. Be a bigger piece of lace. Maybe we'll do that, and then we can kind of see a little of the butterfly, and we can see some of that black off to the side. Cut it right there. Always save your scraps of lace. Glue that in place. Come on. All right, so this is what I'm using. It's called Fabric Fix, but it's similar to the Fabri-Tac. It's like a 3-in-1 glue. They're all pretty much the same. All right, so we have a nice little dimension there with that. And then I cut out this, well, that would cover that up, wouldn't it? Oh well, I think we're gonna do that. This is what I'm going to do here, is I'm going to find something in my scraps, a little element that will fit in that square. And of course, you don't have to do it this way, but let's see what I got here. Those are too small. Oh, I know, here. Should probably cover up my ink. There's a little flower here. This came from the inside of my Your Creative Studio box, one of the boxes. There we go. I found you. And I just saved the wrapper. Let's see. I'm debating whether I want to cut this by hand because I am just not good at it. Straight lines. But you see where I'm going with this. Let's see, we might have to cut some off here. Okay, good enough. And let's see if I can zhuzh this up. This is becoming my new favorite color, this ground espresso distress oxide. I was a vintage photo forever, but this one just, I don't know, it appears darker, quicker, and that to me is good. So this is one of my die cut backgrounds that I use. I have a set of all different sizes. This little frame here. Ooh. All right. And we're just going to add this, like a little stamp, like so. Doesn't have to be perfect. And then you can kind of set that there. Go up a little. Actually, I should probably put a dab of this too because we're going over fabric. like so. And then what else could we do here? I know. Okay, I'm gonna cut a super thin strip of black. Look at this desk. The more things change, the more they stay the same. First, I'm gonna do this, and I'm gonna stick this piece there. Time to change the blade, I guess. So I just want to go that way. Yeah, I like it like that. I'm just gonna have it hang over either edge, so let me cut this. I'm gonna leave it like that. I don't know, this is giving me a nice Asian vibe. Oh, I did not need to glue the whole thing. Okay, you get the idea. Alright, so that's that. I don't have a lot of black, like little strips, so I'm gonna cut one more. Wow, yeah, guess I need a new blade on that. It's cutting very rough. It's also this paper. Alright, so I'm going to do something like that. I sit that there. It just gives it, you know, a kind of offsets it, makes it a little interesting. This would be good on a embellished paperclip. As an embellished paperclip, so I could attach this to another piece and then clip this on. So that's a cool little cluster. Let's see, we got this one. This one, let's do a piece of lace, but let's do it like a small little itty bitty bit of lace. What do I have in here? I have this red piece and I have some black. I do like the way this black is working. So I get a little flower in there. Let's see if we can add this. Oh, okay, I can do that up there, or even over there. I like it over there. And then we'll glue that down, and then I think I'll add a button to that, and then we'll do something down here also. That's good. And we can still see our little birdie there. And let's see, I have some buttons. Maybe we'll add a button. Add a little white one. That works. Put that right in the middle. And then kind of have this, which I've been dying to use on something. So I think I think that's perfect for this. right there. So I'm going to just enhance this edge dramatically. Maybe we'll let that hang over. Oh, I know. No, I'm gonna do it like this. Okay, so let's glue that. And this is just, if you haven't guessed, which you probably did, this is the edge of a piece of, it's from my watercolor book. It's a watercolor paper, but it's the edge that you tear off. So the spiral ring goes through here and you tear this off, and I just coffee dyed it. And I love using it in kind of mixed media projects or projects like this. It just, I don't know, it's different. It's geometric, adds some dimension, and it's got a nice texture to it too. So we have that, and this one's definitely calling for like a word or a number or something. I have these stickers. These are in my shop if you're interested. I have this 111. Maybe that's a little too simple. Number 8. I think these might be too big. Yeah, they're gonna cut off the birdie's foot. That's okay. That's all right. Hold on. I have a whole lot of words. Okay. These are all also in my shop. Let's see if we can find. I have bird song, but I think I might just use bird. I know, it seems very simple. Yes, it's a bird. But why not? And we'll just offset it a little, or kick it a little. And there's another cluster. Now you could also take this and say, add it like that to one of the other pieces that you cut off. Like this. You can kind of stick them together. That might look cool. Let's see. Kind of make this pop out. Let's see how that looks. Actually, oh, that's interesting. It kind of like continues down. I kind of like the way that looks, so I'm going to do this. And then you could sew or add some other pieces. So you can even use these to build on one another. And really, it's up to you. You can, there's so many ways to do this. Let's see, how did I have that? Like that. Yeah, of course, I'm gluing the parts that I don't have to glue again. Okay, so like there. Let's start here. And these are flat enough that they're really not going to take up a lot of bulk. The button's a little more bulky, that's true. But this can just kind of go up in a corner, and you could use it as a tuck, or down in a corner and use it as a tuck. Like that. All right, what else do we have? We have this one with a fork, which is really interesting. Maybe we can add do like a little ruffle with some of this, though the glue is not going to look so good in this. Let me just do a test spot. But I could put something over it, so that's fine. You know, sometimes with these ribbons, like the glue just comes seeping through and that's all you see. Yeah, like that. Well, I could put something over that, so let's go for it. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to put it up here and then bunch it up like a ruffle. I could do it behind too. Too late. Actually, let's see, is it? I don't know. Let's see what we get. Just gonna kind of mash it in there. And then I'm probably gonna put something over top of it because we want to cover up that ink. The glue rather. And if I was working not on a video, I'd probably sew this first. So, but that gives me an idea. Let's get this down. I'll just add in a little more glue here. Okay. All right, so we get a little ruffle there. I know it looks a little messy right now. Give me a second. It will get better. So we have a little blue there with our little fork. So we get in a little kitchen recipe kind of themed journal. I have somewhere, I saw them earlier, hold on. I think they're in here. I have some sewn bits, they're already sewn, and I can just put those over the top. Then we can have sewing without sewing. And we'll cover up our glue. So that works for me. Well, then I can do that, and this one's a little bulky, that's fine. But then I have some blue accent. I guess I'm gonna get this down. I'm gonna cooperate, good. All right, and then we'll glue this. It'll add some dimension and it will cover up that glue. Maybe we should ink it. Let's ink it. Why not? Yeah, so if you're still here, go for it with whatever you have. There are so many things that you can add to your clusters, and using up your scraps, you can do this for days. The size that I made these also, you could very well use these for tags. So maybe we'll cut one out and we'll make it into a tag because it is wide enough. It's 3 inches. So you can also use it like you would use a piece of your master board if you had some that you wanted to also use and didn't want to make a cluster. Let's see. There, now it looks like we sewed it and we didn't. you'd think. It's got to dry. This glue is just not cooperating with me, which is why I would probably have sewn it. All right, let's see. We'll do this. And we'll do this. And now I definitely need something up here because you can see that glue. So what will that be? That will be a word or a number. Let's try a number. Oh wait, I have fresh. It says fresh. That'll work. Works in the theme. There we go. Like so. I didn't cut this very straight. Yeah. Okay, I'm making it worse by pressing on it. All right. So let's reset. Clean up a little of these scraps. All right, so we had all that, the rest of this here. So let's make 2 tags because we can. Maybe right about there. So these are also like mini master boards. All right. Yeah, so we can where do I want to go? We'll go this way. We'll just make it into a tag. We'll cut off this corner, flip it around, cut off this corner. When I first saw that, I was fascinated. You've probably seen it 100 times now, but in case you didn't, this is a cool way to make your tags even. Of course, I did it very small, so. Like that, sort of even. What did I do? Even with a template. Anyway, you get the idea. Okay, we can round these ends. And then I can punch out the top up here, like so. And we can take a piece of scrap. Well, this one's sitting here. Let's use it. And turn it into, apparently we have to ink it. This side's a little too white, a little too white. And we'll just stick that through here. Make a cool little messy sort of piece up top. Looks like a little ribbon. And then, where'd that box go? This was in there, so we can just add that. This is coming together quite simple. Easy. But you could also just throw a piece of washi up that, or grab something out of your ephemera stash. I do like the way the black looks like that. I am a fan, and that'll dry clear. And I'll get a word. Grungy things ahead. This is annoying me. What can we put there? We can put some washi tape. Instead. So more Tim Holtz. This is never shortage of Tim Holtz. Maybe if we do it like this, that won't bother me so much. I'll probably stencil the back of this. And have a piece come up here. To maybe draw your eye away from how, I don't know, it looks a little wonky to me. But like so. And we have a tag. And you could stencil this. We could stencil the back of this. We could stamp it and add some lines. Do I have any of that bigger? I could do this. Okay, so it's turning into clusters and tags. So you could I like this side better. Just give it a little outline here, and then we'll glue it down. Like so. And if we wanted to, we could cut a strip of that. Nope, that's not gonna work. What else could we add here? Could add a number 4. This is very grungy, so I can't really. I would just stencil the rest of this. Maybe take a marker. Do that. Let's do that. I have one of my. The one's too thin. There we go. So we could just kind of randomly go around the outside. This is a cool technique. I learned this when I was like, I don't know, 12. And you kind of go around real wonky. I think this was pretty popular on a certain type of decoration when I was growing up. And I just kind of mimicked it because I liked the way it looked. And draw a couple of lines, some dots. A little different style than the other side, but hey, whatever. And then we can just make some fake lines. This would be cool for a little quick note or quote or something, like so. I like it. So there, just an idea. You could also stencil it, like I said, and we've made a tag. And then, didn't we have another one? Didn't I make another one? Maybe I didn't take, oh yeah, I did. There we go. Yeah, and so this one could be just maybe a journaling card. So we could, well, actually, let's back it. Let's back it with something. I have this, since I already did that side. Just tear, ink, ink, ink. This is my old go-to. And we'll glue that down. So lots of uses. Kind of give you some ideas of some things you can do with this. So not just clusters, though the clusters are really cool. And when you have that whole roll sitting there, it's just very handy because you just grab it and go. You don't have to think about it. You don't have to prep for it. And it doesn't matter how you put your papers in there, it always kind of just comes out looking cool. You're gonna give me a hard time, aren't you? I think because it's wet. So a little trick, just put it on another piece of cardstock with a sharp corner. And then it punches. You can do the same thing with copy paper. If you know, sometimes when you go to do a lightweight paper and it just doesn't want to work. So that's that. And then what can we do with this one? Let's ink it while we think it. And you can see I'm really making the most of my ink because I haven't gone back to my ink pad in a while. These, if you're doing what I'm doing here, these hold a lot of ink in them, and I think we tend to go back to the ink pad too soon when there's quite a bit on our little foam here. Let's do this side too. And then what I do is I'm on this book here and I'm doing all this inking. Then what I'll do is I'll take pieces of this off and use it in projects like this. So this is a book about dieting and health, which isn't really interesting, but if we tear this off, nobody knows. Nobody's gonna know what the subject matter was really. And these little pieces, you know, work really well in a project. We'll use one here just so. It's just really, now I took all the ink off. That's okay. We'll use what we got. Yeah, and so, you know, you just make use of everything that you kind of have on your desk, I guess is my point. So, I know a lot of people will use these as glue books and then glue the pages together. I think Gail Agostinelli does that a a lot. I don't know if she does it much anymore, but she would glue the pages together and then use those pages in projects, and I thought that was such a great idea. And we'll just wrap that around. It's always nice to have a little funky edge there, like that. And then that gives us room for some words. Let's do overdue. Oh, I definitely got a black and white aesthetic going here. That's okay. That's something I really like. But if you're working with colors, what I would recommend is just have some words cut out of a magazine or a book or something. You don't have to have it printable, but if you do, of course, use those. But just have a few there, and then you can use them as you go and be inspired by them. Let's see what else I have here. That might look good on there. And this will be our last one, and we'll wrap it up. Let's see. Do we have anything else in here? Not really. Nope. Nah. All right, let me get a piece of lace and we'll make a top, and then we'll be done. This box could be neater. Just saying. I know you probably can't see it, which is probably best for you. I have to have a black scrap in here somewhere. And we can just kind of, I would staple it, but I don't have a stapler here. My daughter says I randomly have just she says it's interesting how you casually just have every craft supply. But the funny thing is, I never have them right here where I need them. What I think I will do actually is sew this across, because I think it would look cool to have the stitching coming out here and then going across, and then you would also see it on the other side. And then on this side, we could just stamp it, right? We could add a little stamp. Something maybe we haven't used. I didn't bring too many more here. Let's do our little bumblebee. I don't know if I used him or not. I think I did. That's okay. Ta-da! Very simple. Yeah, and then I'll just sew that across like that, and that will be done. All right, so we did that, a journal card, a tag. We did this cluster, which is the little bird one. We did this one, which this one would be cool if it were dimensional, so I could put like a pop dot on the back and have that raised off the page. I think that would look neat, and I would probably ink around here. Of course I would. We have this one with a little pop of color. Just if I had a blue themed journal or something with blue, this would be cool because a lot of the paper might be tea dyed or coffee dyed, and then maybe some blue mixed in, and then this would make a good accent. We have this little cluster here with our little nonsense word, but hey, it looks kind of cool. I like the way that looks. Curl that up a little. And there we go. So you get the idea, and we still have so much of the one that I did here, and then the other one that I did before I got on camera. So, you know, you just make up a bunch of them and go, and then grab them when you need something, or just grab them and do a mass make of a bunch of clusters, and then you put them on the side, and when you're making journals, you can just put them in there, and you don't have to stress about it. So I hope you enjoyed this. I did. It's a lot of fun getting messy and making a mess, but now unfortunately I have to clean it all up, and yeah. But thanks for stopping by. I appreciate you being here. Thanks for watching the video, and if you liked what we did, give it a thumbs up. Leave me a comment, let me know what you thought, and I'll see you in the next video. Talk to you soon. Bye.